All right. I'd like to call this meeting to order. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to tonight's departmental budget presentations. We have a presentation tonight by the City Treasurer Office, Department of Families, Children, and Youth, and the Hartford Police Department. I'm Councilwoman Marilyn E. Rossetti, and I am the chair of OMBGA Committee, Operations Management, Budget, and Government Accountability. This meeting is broadcasting live on HPA-TV's Xfinity Government Channel 96 and Frontier Government Channel 6032. It will also be streamed via HPA-TV.org, the HPA-TV Facebook page, and HPA-TV Apple TV, Amazon TV, and Roku TV apps. It also will be made available on the HPA-TV YouTube channel. I'd like to acknowledge my colleagues present today. To my left is Councilman Josh Mickstrom. To my right is Council President T.J. Clark and Majority Leader Bill Dew. Tonight's presentation will start with the City Treasurer. Some ground rules are we have been doing one round of questions, 2 questions each. I will then look at timing and where my colleagues are, and we can possibly have another round. So tonight, our first presenter is Madam Treasurer. You are on.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and good evening, members of the council. Thank you for this opportunity. I'd like to quickly take a minute just to introduce staff. To my right is Delando Clark, the Deputy Treasurer, Wayne Moore, the Chief Investment Officer, and Deputy Chief Investment Officer is Chris Kohler. So we'll change the page. So the Office of the City Treasurer is independently elected and the custodians of all city funds. These are value and mission. We do the right thing for the right reason for the community and the employees and retirees. We listen and respect to the customers. We are open from 8 to 5. We serve as the fiscal steward to preserve the health and strength of the city asset through prudent conservative investing. We work as a team, and we definitely have a very diverse staff. The next page is the organization of our office. I leave it up to you to look at that. And the other page is the breakdown of our diversity of our staff. 38% live in Hartford, 61% not in Hartford. We have 61% female, 38% male, and the breakdown of our race is Hispanic, 30%, African American, 15%, West Indian, 23%, Caucasian, 7%, Asian, 7%, Turkish, I'm sorry, 1.7%, and other. The role responsibility of the treasurer, we try to make it simple to understand. We serve as a co-issuer of our bonds. I invest the asset of the city pension, OPIB, and MERF. The OPIB is 1.2, the MERF is 28 million. We manage all the city cash and conduct all the banking relationship with Bank of America, Liberty Bank, M&T, Webster Bank, and the state. We invest and disperse all city trust funds. We administer the city deferred compensation plan, a program 401, which is unclassified, 403, those are for the employees of the Board of Ed, and the 457 is for everyone. And we also administer all the pension benefits. The Office of the City also try to save taxpayer dollar to maximize our ability to generate revenue. In 2026, we generated approximately $5.2 million in revenue. $5 million is from the interest income from short-term investment vehicles, and the other one is $229,000 in rebates from the electronic payment platforms. The recommended budget for this year is $606,637. The majority is for custody of fund, which is 82%. Executive office is 15%, and the investment is 2.6%. In 2026, the adopted budget was $582,913. The recommended is $606,637. The difference is $23,724. That is due to the obligation of our employees' contracts, technology increase, and other service. Some of our accomplishment is we manage a total of $255 million in the city deferred compensation plan, and as of December 31st, 2025, the 401, which is unclassified, is $3 million, and those are 107 participants. The 403 is employees, Board of Education employee, that's $55 million in the plan, and we serve 1,548 participants. The 457 is for everyone. We have 197 million, and we serve 1,741 participants. As of June 30th, 2025, the MERF investment portfolio was valued $1.2 billion, while paying $118.9 million annually to 3,424 pensioners and the beneficiary on time. The other side is about partnership and collaboration accomplishments. We hosted another successful bilingual financial literacy symposium on May 31st, 2025, and the goal is to make financial education equitable, accessible, and actionable for all. Over 280 parents, community members, partners, and students attended the event. 23 exhibitors from all over presented and provided resources to the community. 6 workshops was offered: budgeting basics, building your credit, investing 101, debt detox, homeownership prep, and academy for small business. We did a survey, 81% participant rated the event 5 out of 5, with 2 most popular workshops, which was building your credit and homeownership prep. We also completed the implementation of pay mode X platforms for electronic payments, offering our vendors access to efficient payment, and reducing the check production, the postage, but at least 8,000 annually. We continue the ongoing calling campaigns every quarter to new vendors. 1,939 vendors enroll as of March 9th, 26. We continue to partnership also with Liberty Bank and CADIC on the Good Neighborhood Program, helping Hartford residents achieve homeownership. We partner with Voya and retirement plan advisors to incorporate editorial content relating to financial literacy resources and education in our city website. And again, it's about building a solid financial education foundation, starting a Roth IRA for teen, willpower, birthday milestones. We also provide internship program for our community, our students, underrepresented in high school here in Hartford, college students throughout the youth internship. They gain experience in public sector finance. They learn what the office does. They get an opportunity to visit some of our investment managers and see how they work. And they also gain insight in the pension fund oversight, investment policy, and cash management. We work in collaboration with the State of Connecticut Treasurer's Office in partnership with the city administration. Successfully, we did this in 2025, closed on $160 million of special obligation refunding service, which helps save state taxpayers $7.2 million annual debt over the next 10 years. We also work in collaboration with the city administration to strengthen the city credit ratings, S&P Global Rating, which resulted in credit upgrade in December 2025, an upgrade of A- from triple B on improved financial position. Hartford Stadium Authority lease revenue bonds also rated upgraded to triple B plus from a triple B minus, with stable outlooks reflecting sustained fiscal discipline, strong reserve, and consistent positive financial operation of the city. We also provide counseling to our pensioners or to our employees so they can be prepared and ready when they are ready to retire. The office collaborate with all the union president, and we did that through a meet and greet opportunity to learn what the Treasurer's Office does, In 2025, there were over 800 member outreach sessions comprised of new member orientation, individual member counseling, retirement planning. And if you look, we broke it down by all different unions to show you how many of them we have reached out to. In fiscal year 26 and 27, we will launch a targeted counseling for employees within 5 years of retirement, providing focused guidance to support the transition planning. We also partner with the Hartford Public Schools and various local organizations for next year, our strategic planning for 2026 and 27 to host our third financial literacy. Hopefully, again, we'll partner with the city and the Board of Ed. We'll continue our conversation with the city administration to identify ways to reduce the ADAC, continue the ongoing conversation on contractor obligations that impact the ADAC, and continue to provide input on collective bargaining negotiation. In our strategic planning, we will continue to partner with banks to offer the bank fair to connect again with the employees in the community and learn more about the resources they offered. And our other strategic initiative is to manage the city, including Hartford Public School, deferred compensation plan to educate and increase employee participation and maintain best governance, investment, and support services. The other strategic initiative is to strengthen the city financial position through higher bonds ratings. We just partnered with the mayor and the administration to underwrite 25 million city Hartford general bond obligation bonds and 25 million master lease facility agreement. We will continue to provide the internship to our students, which is important, and continue to work on our 3-year strategic plan and upgrade online access to city office information and services. The other initiative that we have for this 26 and 27, 43%, 26 of 61 managers of the MERF assets are managed by diverse, owned, and led investment firms. They're validating our longstanding commitment to diversity, equity, and inclusion. Our office is currently considering additional diverse firm from asset management assignment during the current fiscal year. And in 26, the Treasurer office invested in Avanced, a diverse-owned firm. And at the end, you have some information regarding the financial literacy. The other part of the presentation is to have the investment team present the status and how we doing with our pension fund and where we at. Chris?
I think you're going first anyway, Yolanda. Oh, okay, sure. Yeah. You want me to hold it?
That'd be great, actually. And then I'll hold yours.
You do have in your package.
Hello all, once again, my name is Delando Clark. I'm the Deputy Treasurer. Just wanted to show you this chart here. It shows the pension fund's funded status, and it shows it in comparison to the funded status of the state, and then does some peer comparisons as well to local cities and towns. Essentially, the funded status shows how the current assets of the pension line up against its total forecasted liability. And so as you can see here, the city of Hartford is 69.1% funded.
You got to tell us, maybe it's just me, but I can't see any of those little black letters at the bottom, so maybe it's only 6 columns, so tell me what they all are.
These are the names of the municipalities, so I can make sure to call them out, no problem. Right, so on the far left in the green, we have the city of Hartford, 69.1% funded. And then I'll go left to right. We have the state of Connecticut at 59.6, New Haven at 55.2, Waterbury at 60.1%, Farmington at 65.4, and then Glastonbury at 76.2%. I'm just gonna pass it off to our deputy CIO to show kind of how this funded status has developed over time. I'll go hold that.
Sure. Thank you, Delando. As Delando just said, this is showing our plan's funding status over time. As you can see on the chart, in the late 2010s, our plan had a funded status in the low 70s. And in 2020, you can see that our rate dropped to 66.9. I think we can all vividly remember the impact of COVID and the impact on the markets then. But as you can see, since that time, our funded status has grown steadily. Our last reading as of June 30th of 24 was at 69.1% funded status. And as Delando just mentioned, our funded status, while it's below 100%, is in line with many of our peers. I just want to read a quick excerpt from our last actuarial valuation report, which was done by USI Consulting. Even with a funded status of less than 100%, the plan remains in a position to pay benefits due at the current 69.1% level. It is not the intent of the plan's funding method to fully fund such shortfalls in 1 year. Absent of other significant changes, such underfunding will be reduced over a period of years as it is spread into the future contribution requirements. Thanks. And can you turn to the last slide? So as we take a look at this last chart, this is our pension plan's performance over 2025. For the year, we're the top bar. We returned 13%, and below is our actuarial rate, which is 6 3/4. So we almost did double that. Since we're managing over $1 billion, is actually a very substantial amount of money. This was an extra $71 million in assets that were generated by the plan over the benchmark. And these assets can be used each year to stay either reinvested or to be put into new investments and create additional returns. And the actuarial rate is defined within our investment policy benchmark as one of our benchmarks. Thank you.
Reemphasize that, and you have these charts in your packet, that, again, the pension status comparison with other city, we first compare it with the state. So we like 10% even more, so we're doing better. And then with the other city, we chose 2 cities, Waterbury and New Haven, similar to ours. We even higher than those 2 cities. And then we also compare ourselves with Farmington and Glastonbury, because, these are wealthy towns doing extremely well economically. And we are as close to them than any other city that we just mentioned. So overall, and according to the actuarial report, we are a very healthy pension fund. We meet our obligation of paying $10 million a month to 3,244 retirees on time. And it's good to see that our portfolio is very diverse and meet these obligations. So I thank the staff, the investment, the consultants, the commissioner, and our legal counsel in order to be able to show these numbers and show that we meet our obligation is based on the commitment, the partnership, and our obligation and the responsibility, and our investment policies that we have to follow. So thank you. Before I close, if it's okay, I'd like to, before you can have some questions, understanding now where we at, I'd like to say that my office remains focused on safeguarding the pension fund and ensuring that all fiduciary responsibility are carried with integrity and accountability. The recent appointments to the Pension Commission and the Internal Audit Commission reflect the City of Hartford commitment to strong governance, professional diversity, and the inclusion of new voices in the public service. Transition and commission membership are routine part of the municipal governance and do not interrupt the ongoing administration, pension operations, or oversight responsibility carried by the Treasurer's Office. The recent public comments by former commission chairs have suggested that the removal was connected to a plan audit of the pension fund. I want to be clear. I was not aware of any proposed audit, and no such audit was presented to me for discussion or action, I would not oppose any audit undertaking through the proper channels. It has also been noted that a letter concerning pension governance was sent to the City Council. I or anyone in my office never received a copy of the letter. While individuals are free to communicate with elected officials, the Treasurer Office remains the statutory point of responsibility for pension administration. My office continues to operate with professionalism, openness, and adherence to all legal and fiduciary standards. It is important to recognize the women in leadership positions have long faced disproportionate, subtle. These dynamics are often particular among those who continue to struggle with or resist women's leadership style. We remain committed to transparency and accountability, and we will not be distracted by unfounded accusations that distract from the facts or the work this office is doing on behalf of the public. And I thank you for listening.
I now see that my, thank you, Madam Treasurer, our colleagues have joined us on the screen. We have Councilman Rosado and Councilman Thomas. As I stated before my colleagues on the screen were on, we're going to start with what we've done for the last couple of budget meetings with 2 rounds, 2 questions a round, and then we'll address that after the first round. So I'll start with my colleague, Councilman Thomas.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I apologize for getting on the hearing a little bit late. I apologize. Thank you so much for your work, Ms. Carpentier, and I appreciate you. I don't have any questions at this time. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman. Councilwoman Rosado.
Thank you. Through you, Madam Chair. Madam Treasurer, thank you for your detailed presentation. Personal thanks to the great staff that you have in your department. And I have no questions, but just wanted to thank you for that thorough explanation that you just gave to City Council. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman. I will now go to my left, Councilman Mitchum.
Thank you, Madam Treasurer and staff. A question about pension obligations going forward. Are there any areas in terms of what we do and what we have oversight of in terms of spending, or areas where you see demands on the pension system growing unduly, or that we should look at going forward? Obviously, that's not going to affect the health of the fund right now, but something for us to investigate, think about.
The actuarial person came in, the consultant came in last Friday and gave the presentation of the evaluation report. They gave a lot of important information regarding the pension and also how the ADAC would increase. I think as city council members and leaders, you have the opportunity and the responsibility, right, to work with the mayor to discuss, and with us at least, to discuss the contracts. My staff, the plan administrator and the team are constantly having conversation with HR on way to improve and give recommendation how to reduce the ADAC. One of them is overtime, and we will continue the conversation tomorrow, as a matter of fact, because we have pension commission tomorrow. So hopefully that will be part 2. Hopefully many of you will attend so we can hear from the actuarial how the overtime will definitely impact the ADAC.
Overtime across the city, like across departments?
Well, this one is more the police, because it was requested by the commissioner to do more of a, provide more data to have a better understanding how the overtime is going to impact the pension and even the long run, future employees, so.
Thank you.
I will now go to my right. Majority Leader.
Automatically thought going to, you're right. Thank you, Madam Treasurer. I just have one question. Are there any areas, investment areas where you see there could be savings that would help us to save dollars in our investments?
I'm going to let my chief investment officer speak for a little bit.
I'd say one area would be in the ways that we execute hiring a manager. There are different ways to structure contracts that have lower fees, and for the past few years, we've been taking advantage of that, which could be significant. I think that would be the primary way, is when you're going into a transaction, a new business relationship, look for alternative ways to structure that have lower fee implications.
So this is something that's already being worked on and ongoing.
Well, more than worked on, it's already been implemented. We've been doing that for the last several years, I would say, and continue to this. We really recently just hired a manager, a new one, and one of the features of negotiating the contract is having a fee structure that is lower than what you might otherwise choose.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Council President.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Treasurer Sierra, thank you very much for your presentation, and to your staff. Is he Clark with a K or Clark with an E?
Huh?
Is he your deputy? Is he Clark with a K or Clark with an E? E? All right, we got to talk after then. 401A program. I think the presentation said 64 or so individuals maybe in there, all unclassified. How much is your office spending to administer that plan?
Wait, you want to take that one?
I don't have that.
No, I don't have those numbers right now. I will have to get those numbers for you,
Okay.
but that was a question that was asked last year too. If we were able to, if it's costly, yes. Are we still addressing it with the legal counsel? Yes. It's not an easy task to see how we could address it, but we're still working on it.
Yeah, so that was going to be my follow-up as to the burdensome task of administering this plan, and how you could probably allocate your staff's resources to something else versus how the other plans are administered that have more of a higher volume.
Right. I mean, the 401 plan was supposedly just for directors, and it turned out to be that they cover all unclassified, so that became an issue. Many of you are also 401A, which you are the creator of the plan, so you should be part of the MRF. So it's a discussion that, again, we're going to continue with the consultant as well as our legal counsel to address.
Now, let's just say in a perfect world that we eliminate the 401A plan. Would all those that are in the plan be automatically shifted to the MRF, or does there have to be
That's
some?
the goal.
Okay.
We'll see if we can get to that,
Yeah.
because there's legal stuff involved.
Do you, and my final question, I'm sorry. Can I ask this last one? Okay, thank you. The final question is, do you have, I just forgot my thought when I was talking to you. I'm just trying to think. No. Yes. Yes. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Council President needs a moment. Madam Treasurer, and this is my thing I ask of a lot of people, trees, Park Trust Fund, where are we at? I understand there's some, maybe some movement on Park Trust Fund and trees. Can you explain the process to me?
Well, we are, that is an area, Madam Chair, that we are still reviewing. We had a forensic audit that came in and did everything, and the person who was running the trust fund, that was part of the responsibility. Now that we have that done, we still have to regroup to make sure that I have a better overall picture, even with legal counsel, in the sense of 100% distributing to the right accounts. And so there has been some modification, but I have not completed yet, and I will probably within another couple of weeks, and definitely will recall a meeting with all of you could come, or maybe come here and share that with you. And some of the leaders who's been asking, when can we get, money for the trees and the trust funds?
And I appreciate that because, as you know, tree canopy is very important for the city. It's important for health, neighborhoods, crime, all those things, and we're now kind of going back a little bit. So as much as we could, move that along and figure out how we get to the next step, that would be fantastic.
Yes, definitely.
Okay, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you. My question that I forgot to, I drew a blank on was, do you have a number on how many city employees that do not participate in any of our pension and retirement programs?
The unclassified, by default, if you don't participate or sign up by default, you have to sign up, you have to select, but you have to fill out the paper by default. If you don't choose a percentage, it will be a 3%, but all the employees are pretty much in one of the plans, either by contract on the 401A or the MERF, depending, what classification you're part of. But we make sure that you understand your benefits and what is in your contract, because a lot of people don't take the time to read that. So the pension administration is doing more outreach in that area.
So just to clarify from what I heard, and that was actually my follow-up question, a person, when they're hired by the city of Hartford, they're automatically signed up for something, whether they're a contractual obligation because they're union or if they're unclassified.
Yeah, the unclassified is the 401A.
And that's automatic?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
After the 20, I think it's 1719, you fall automatically under 401A if you are unclassified. The rest, people are hired depending on the union. That's the union, if it's Shapia, if it's Hamia,
But regardless, every city employee has some type of pension or retirement plan.
Yeah.
So, okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
We want everybody to participate in the 457 because it's a saving and it's optional, but even if you put 55, it adds up. So we always educating the importance, that's why we do financial literacy, the importance of participating on these 457, making sure you understand your contract, making sure you get a free estimate, which is every year, to have a better understanding where you at. By the time you leave, you know what your monthly payment, at least an estimate, will be like. It becomes an official once plan administration and her staff does the paperwork, and then it goes to our actuarial for final. That's when you know that's your final pay. But we always advise the employees to please come and visit us or request an estimate of your plan. It doesn't matter what date, at least, have more counseling conversation with the staff.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. If there are no further questions? No further questions? Thank you, Madam Treasurer, and thank you to your team.
Thank you.
Our next presentation will be Department of Families, Children, and Youth, and I don't know if they're here yet. All right. We're ready for our next presentation. We have the Department of Families, Children, and Youth, and we have our director, Christina Baldwin. You're on.
Good evening. Thank you so much, Council President, and thank you to council members for allowing us to be here. We are excited to present our FY27 recommended budget to the City Council. We do have some members of our DFCY team here with us today. If it's all right, I'd just like to have them stand to be acknowledged. That's okay with you, team? Great. Thank you. Thank you. So we will jump right into our presentation. Oh, prior to that, I'm sorry. I am joined here today on my right by Shailene Lopez, who is our Assistant Director for Early Learning. And on my left, we have Chris Marcelli, who is the Assistant Director for Youth Services. And Julian, thank you for being up here to be with us as well. So the mission of our department is to strengthen our city by uniting residents, partners, and institutions, to expand equitable access, empower families, and advocate for policies and opportunities that create lasting pathways to success. So we support children and youth from cradle to career through collaboration, advocacy, and shared accountability, ensuring every Hartford family has the tools to thrive. Next slide. Our organizational chart is as follows. We have a total of 56 positions in our department. 16 of them are funded through the general fund, and 40 of them are grant funded. Next slide. Thank you. So we're going to jump into some highlights for this current fiscal year that are happening in our respective divisions. In the early learning division, we're focusing on system leadership and implementation. So implementation of the new Early Start CT framework is now in full swing. We currently have oversight of 2 city-operated early learning centers, one at Metzner and one at Highland Early Learning Center. Our Staff Family Child Care Network, we oversee our Staff Family Child Care Network, which are in-home child care providers in 37 towns, and that is inclusive of 201 licensed in-home providers. We are charged with serving Region 2 of the state. We also have, we coordinate a mixed delivery system for 77 providers. Those are early child care providers in Hartford, and that is inclusive of 29 early learning centers, 35 family child care providers, 10 in the public schools, 2 group homes, and 1 Head Start provider. All of those combined total 192 classrooms. We are currently funded for a total of 1,358 early learning slots, 77 of which are infant and toddler, 1,216 are preschool, and 65 are school age. Continuing on with some highlights in early learning. So we have expanded family enrollment, outreach, and our navigation supports. We continue to increase our connections with our families and our Early Start CT providers. We continue with the implementation of our Parents Connecting Parents, also known as POP. Under workforce development, we have delivered comprehensive professional development. That is our staff. Some of them that are here in this room actually deliver professional development across our 77 providers. We have trained over 50 providers in high-quality environment and classroom practices, and we've supported over 20 providers through licensing, technical assistance, and pipeline development. Additionally, we provided over 145 hours of individualized coaching and support to our providers. We have a strong focus on data across the whole department. In early learning, we have partnered with CT Data to support a local needs assessment. And now we are currently looking at enhancing our data systems and looking at how we are enrolling our young children in making decisions about their enrollment. So all of these operations are in alignment with the Office of Early Childhood, Early Start requirement. In terms of family and community engagement, we have hosted events that have reached over 900 families this year, including the Grow and Glow event at the Science Center, our Hop, Skip, and Play Gross Motor event, and our STEAM Expo. We have also facilitated parent community events and play-based engagement opportunities. Additionally, we've hosted 2 convenings with the Office of Early Childhood Commissioner to help to strengthen our alignment with them. Next slide. Moving on to our Youth Services Division. Under our Education and Career Development, this past summer, we once again operated and oversaw our Summer Youth Employment and Learning Program. 781 Hartford youth were served. We hosted an event a series of events in partnership with Hartford Public Schools called the Raise the Bar event. We had 2 events. The first one was the College Application Day. 212 Hartford Public Schools seniors were assisted by 70 staff and volunteers not only from our department, but from the other departments across the city of Hartford as well. And those students received support with their college applications, their essays, and other related requirements. Our second event was a career day that we held in partnership with Hartford Public Schools, where 178 seniors got to experience a career fair and a series of differing workshops. Our Hartford Youth Service Corps, so far since its inception in July 2016, has served over 2,300 youth ages 16 to 14. They have earned $9.5 million totaling and have completed over 2,000 service learning projects. In our focus area of youth justice, violence prevention, and community safety, we continue to run our youth justice and violence reduction initiative. 350 youth have been served in prevention and crisis intervention and reentry programs as part of our youth justice and violence reduction initiative. Our youth diversion team, formerly known as the Juvenile Review Board, we have a projected number of serving 155 youth this fiscal year. Those would be youth being referred to the Juvenile Review Board. And so this is a program as a means of diverting youth offenders away from the formal justice system. In our youth violence prevention and intervention, 21 youth have been served as part of our rapid response protocol, which is an immediate and coordinated response when young people under the age of 25 are the victims of shooting or stabbing violence in the city. In our Community Services Division, we continue to offer family support to provide events and resources to children and families. Community engagement, we continue to bring people together through cultural and seasonal celebrations, and educational support. We help to support youth and families navigate important school traditions. A few of the major events that have happened this year have been our OMW Legacy Community Health and Wellness Fair, where over 500 attendees came out to receive vital health screenings and other preventative screenings. Our Angel Tree Christmas celebration on December 6th, we served approximately 130 participants, and that event specifically focused on supporting children with incarcerated parents through giving them gifts and also uplifting activities. We partnered with the Mustard Seed Christmas Dinner on December 20th, where approximately 250 participants were served a community meal. And the focus for those individuals or those that are experiencing homelessness. And our Three Kings Day celebration on January 6th served over 350 participants, and that is a cultural family event celebration focusing on Three Kings Day with activities and gifts and community engagement for the entire family. So we aim to increase our family engagement, to continue to build strong community partnerships, to provide resources and additional wraparound services for our youth and families beyond the events, and to create safe, welcoming spaces in our community centers for everyone. Moving on to our strategic initiatives under early learning, our strategic initiative, big one we've been focusing on now is the implementation of the Early Start CT. So we're transitioning to a coordinated birth to 5 early childhood system across the 77 providers, 192 classrooms that I mentioned earlier. And this is in alignment with the Office of Early Childhood, or OEC, expectations and their funding structure. We continue to serve as the local governance partner for the Early Childhood Network in Hartford. So we have, as part of that, we have also established a community table to align cross-sector leadership and further decision-making in the early learning landscape. With our data-driven planning, that's another strategic initiative under early learning. We are currently in the process of developing a local needs assessment, and we're partnering again with CT Data to help guide the system planning and investment across the provider network. Looking at access and capability, we're focusing on expanding infant and toddler access and to strengthening the capacity amongst our current 77 providers. When we're looking at provider and workforce strategy, our focus will be on enhancing technical assistance, monitoring, and quality supports for the workforce, and then to focus on workforce recruitment, retention, and stabilization across the 192 classrooms that we have oversight of. Our strategic initiatives in youth services, so we are a service connector in our division of youth services. So looking at our Hartford Opportunity Youth Collaborative, we offer the support from the City of Hartford, and support is also combined with that from the Greater Hartford Gives Foundation, the United Way of Northeastern and Central Connecticut, and the Aspen Institute. We have the HOYC, or Hartford Opportunity Youth Collaborative, has just recently hired a new director, and that's under the backbone organization of Capital Workforce Partners. And we are currently in the process of developing an intake and referral platform to be used amongst the collaborative partners. We continue to work in partnership with the North Hartford Ascend Pipeline, and we are currently in the process of planning for sustainability beyond the life of the current federal grant, which ends at the end of this calendar year. Under community leadership and engagement, we have launched our Youth Development Practitioners Academy. In fact, that just ended just a couple weeks ago. Oh, okay, next week is the actual last session. Thank you. We have some modules. So we had 3 modules that were delivered to youth development professionals on case management and referrals, trauma-informed practice, and legal and ethical issues. That is free and open to participants, and we are looking at continuing that program. Our Division of Youth Services also offered a mental health first aid training. So that's a nationally recognized certification to train providers who work with youth, and that is also free to participants. Under education and career development, we again partnered with Hartford Public Schools to do the series of the Raise the Bar events, which were all free to the participants. And again, those focused on providing college and career information and helping to prepare juniors and seniors and their families with life beyond high school. We have had 3 events to date and a 4th in May, and we are planning on further expansion of that program in FY27. So we also had a first-time partnership with General Dynamics Electric Boat, and we held that event in partnership with this employer and Hartford Public Schools, which supported a large-scale hiring of Hartford young people for jobs at Electric Boat. It was very exciting. Moving on to youth justice and violence prevention, community safety. So our youth justice and violence reduction initiative helps to coordinate partners to engage and address our highest need youth. So the program is currently supported with federal funds, which end this year. And so we are in the process of planning for continued efforts so that we don't lose traction on that work. And again, our youth diversion team, formerly known as our Juvenile Review Board, we continue to partner with the Village for Families and Children to ensure the implementation of this program model. And we are moving toward a new standard statewide under a new standard protocols and procedures, which was released in July of 2025. Under youth engagement and enrichment, we partnered very closely with the Department of Sports and Recreation to launch the seasonal camps, the winter break camp, and the spring recess camp, and that provided programming and meals to Hartford youth during those seasonal school breaks. That was open and free to participants as well. In our community services, we continue to hold holiday support for children with incarcerated parents, to provide meals for individuals experiencing homelessness, and to continue to provide year-round engagement opportunities through programming at our community centers. In terms of cultural enrichment and community engagement, we're focused on promoting belonging and community pride through these inclusive celebrations, to expand our cultural responsiveness through our events, and also to engage local artists and community partners, and to increase family participation. Educational advancement includes expanding on our transition workshops, which we had started last year and continued into this year, to continue to provide practical tools and resources, and to continue to strengthen our school and educator partnerships. So our key strategies include our partnerships with our schools, our nonprofits, and local businesses, continuing our grassroots outreach efforts, to continue our volunteer engagement, to look at strengthening our evaluation for these large-scale community service events, and looking at sustainability, how we will secure grants and sponsorships and additional donor support. The next slide shows our budget comparison from the adopted budget, FY26 adopted, to the FY27 recommended. You can see here total, we have a significant change in our budget, a decrease of 62.1% in our budget. So this budget reduction is the projected grant expenditures. It does not represent a loss in funding to the community. This is due to a restructure, the transition of the Early Start Connecticut or Early Start CT funding model that I spoke about a bit earlier under the Office of Early Childhood. So now, under the state's new Early Start CT model, funding is no longer passed through to the city, but that funding is given directly to the early child care providers. That's not specific to Hartford. That is the change that has occurred statewide. So I think it's really important that we uplift that the community itself has not lost any of the funding. That particular source of funding just is not filtered through the municipality any longer. The city does, however, continue in its role in oversight, coordination, and implementation of the program with those providers. Thank you. Moving forward, our areas of focus under early learning, we're looking at continuing with expanding access to our infant, toddler, and preschool slots, increased outreach in underserved neighborhoods and census tracts, and reducing barriers to enrollment for families. We're looking at strengthening our provider network, so continuing to grow our centers and our family child care and schools, to continue to provide technical assistance, licensing support, and business sustainability tools, and also to stabilize and retain our existing providers. So we're looking at maximum utilization, so addressing under-enrollment through coordinated outreach and data tracking, aligning enrollment systems, and improving real-time visibility of open slots. On the workforce development side, our focus will be continuing to be on recruiting and retaining qualified early childhood educators, expanding professional development and career pathways, and supporting compensation and workforce stability initiatives. We continue with our data and coordination by strengthening our data and reporting systems, by aligning our outreach and enrollment and monitoring functions, and by improving our decision-making through the use of the real-time data that we've invested in collecting. And governance and partnerships, we're looking at continuing the implementation as the local governance partner, looking at activating our community table to help guide those local strategies in early learning, and to strengthen our cross-sector partnerships. That's our partnerships with our schools, our community organizations, and the state. In youth services, we'll continue as a service coordinator, continuing to grow and strengthen the Hartford Opportunity Youth Collaborative. We have recently implemented 6 work groups, and so making sure that those are moving forward and being effective in the work that they have to do in reducing the number of Hartford Opportunity Youth. Looking at sustaining our North Hartford Ascend pipeline work, knowing that that funding will be ending at the end of this calendar year. Under our community leadership and engagement, we are looking at increasing the current Youth Development Practitioners Academy from 3 modules to 6. And we are looking at continuing to provide our mental health and first aid. Under education and career, we are looking to continue with the Raise the Bar events and looking at expanding that in partnership with Hartford Public Schools. And we're looking at we are in support of the new Hartford Works website as a way to link youth service initiatives with the broader citywide initiative of workforce development under the Hartford Works platform. In youth justice and violence prevention and community safety, our Youth Justice and Violence Reduction Initiative will continue to go on. We'll be looking at sustainability efforts to continue with the work beyond what the current federal funding is giving us at its end. And our youth diversion teams will continue to operate with our partners to ensure that we have a strong fidelity to the model. In terms of data systems and driven decision-making, our Hartford Opportunity Youth Collaborative continues to support the implementation of the intake referral platform amongst all of our partners. And in community services, we'll continue with expansion of our event programming with our direct family support. We continue to work on our venue and operations, so that includes facility rentals of Metzner and Arroyo Recreation Center for events and opportunities that are youth-related, not specific to sports and rec. Event setup, equipment and logistics, and transportation and storage needs. So we're also looking at increasing and coordinating staffing and volunteering efforts, looking at expanding outreach and marketing for the events that we do. Looking at expanding the number of families that we serve and increasing access to event experiences and educational resources. We also continue to look at cost-saving strategies, including in-kind donations, volunteer engagement, and continued partnerships with our local organizations. We continue to look for sources of funding, so grants and corporate sponsorships as appropriate. And of course, always keeping our bottom line is investing in our people, partnerships, and programming. This slide provides a very high-level overview of the partner engagement efforts that we have done, both internally within the City of Hartford respective departments and externally so far this fiscal year. So I do want to state that this isn't fully comprehensive. It's more high level. Fully comprehensive would probably be a book thick, but broadly internally, we have very strong collaborations with the Hartford Police Department, Health and Human Services, Hartford Public Schools, the North Hartford Promise Zone, and Sports and Recreation. Externally, again, a broad network of early child care providers that we work and partner with. In youth services, we currently have 7 contracted partners doing various work under youth services. We lead a series of community tables under early learning. That's our local governance partner, our staff family child care network, Parents Connecting Parents, our working groups for collective learning, our parent ambassadors, and our parent cabinet. The community tables under youth services include our Hartford Opportunity Youth Collaborative, our Racial and Ethnic Disparities Committee, our wraparound supports for youth homelessness, our Youth Violence Prevention and Intervention, and our Youth Offender Care Coordination. And then with our community services in our community centers, again, we have so far this year run 3 large-scale events in our community centers. And overall, we have a total, in our early learning division, we work with a total of 21 consultants, 6 in our youth services division, and we have 2 consultants that serve and support us department-wide. And the next slide just is a listing of the staff trainings and professional development opportunities that our staff has taken part in so far this fiscal year. We are a department that strongly believes in developing our staff, equipping them with the tools and knowledge and skills that they need to do their job. So they are always encouraged to take advantage of staff trainings and professional development. This is the listing of those that they've participated in so far this fiscal year. And this next slide is our staff composition of all of our employees. 70% of our employees are City of Hartford residents, 30 are non-City of Hartford residents. Our racial and ethnic breakdown, Hispanics, Latinx is 32%, African American or Black, 38%, Caucasian, white, 8%, other, 5%, 17% prefer not to say. Gender, we have 76% female, 21% male, and 3% prefer not to say. And that concludes our presentation. Thank you.
I don't know if there was enough information there.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you,
Pleasure.
Director Baldwin.
Thank you.
I will now start from my right. Majority Leader.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you for your presentation. Thank you for all the hard work of your department with the city's youth. So I have a few questions. I came to visit you at some point at the Metzner Center, so I'm just wondering, have any improvements happened there? Are there any improvements that will be happening there?
Yeah, so thank you. We enjoyed you coming out and welcome you to come back again. So we are working very closely with our development services, our risk management, and our capital improvement projects areas of the city. We do have outlined focus for what it is that we are looking at accomplishing in terms of priority for Metzner. Right now on our list, very high priority is the playscape, the early childhood playscape. That would be our highest priority right now, making sure that it has the required updates that is needed. And then we have a prioritized list from there, including the use of our basement space, which is no longer in use. They have completed an environmental study on the basement. And again, we are meeting with the other various departments to look at cost, funding, and need, and prioritization of the Metzner Center. So that is work that is steadily in progress, and again, looking to start those renovations as soon as all of the pieces with the various departments are aligned.
Excellent, thank you. And then my other question is about the electric boat employment opportunities. Can you tell us a little more about that?
Yeah, absolutely. I'll actually turn that over to Chris Marcelli. He and his team partnered with Hartford Public Schools on that incredibly first-time successful event. Chris?
Sure. Good evening, Council. The event with Electric Boat happened primarily at their behest. They approached the city and other partners to have a large-scale hiring event. They are doing a sort of hiring spree across the region. They've been holding events across Connecticut and in Rhode Island. This was a first-time event up here. We held it in partnership with the school district at one of the schools, actually over at their new space, the combined school and administrative building. And they had that set up combined with a community event, so it was very well attended and had a good mix of people coming through. They fully processed applicants on the spot. Some people applied in advance, and then funneled them through straight into interviews, and in many cases into negotiations for people who were walking out of the building with an offer.
Very nice. Thank you.
Council President.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Director Baldwin, congratulations.
Thank you, Council President.
I like your pen.
Thank you, Council President.
Thank you to your staff who was come in attendance and your directors. A couple questions. In your presentation, you were talking about working with CWP regarding a new platform on reporting that's supposed to be rolling out soon. Is that ETO?
No, it's not. So I believe that you're referencing the referral platform through the Hartford Opportunity Youth. No, that's not efforts to outcomes. They have actually procured VOG to do that referral platform. It's another data management and tracking platform. And so in our department, we still do continue to use ETO as one of our data analytics tracking performance management software. But for that specific platform, we'll be using VOC.
Okay. Now, we have asked this question quite a few times over the course of my time here on council. With your department, since it serves a critical need in the community and it partners with a variety of organizations such as those that work to reduce violent crimes and alleviate violent offenders. Has there been an analysis done through the help of your department that where we know if youth in our city are receiving duplicative services between one organization and the other organization, and they all end up doing the same thing?
Yeah, so that's a great question. So actually part of the referral platform, the purpose of it will be able to help us to track where youth are being referred to and where they're connected so that we could look at some of that duplication. So our department specifically has not done that level of analysis. I can say with our youth offender care coordination program that we are currently focused on now, where we are serving our highest need young people that are involved in violent crime. The end tail of that grant program will include an evaluation of the program for that specific group of young people. So we will have data, although it's a very small subset of data, by the end of this calendar year on that. But that is actually part of the work, what you were speaking to, of the Hartford Opportunity Youth Collaborative, to look at the scope of the young people in the city that are disconnected from school and or work, or those that are engaged in the justice system, and to see where their different touch points are, who they are connecting with, to look to sort of refine some of that overlap. And then in addition to that, once we have that data, organizations will then be able to coordinate and work together better to be able to provide services to those young people.
Okay, thank you. One quick question regarding early learning centers. We have 2. How many Hartford residents do we have in each of those locations?
So Shailene, I'll turn that over to you.
Thank you for the question, Councilman. As soon as I get that information, I'll make sure you have how many residents we have in our 2 early learning centers. I'm thinking it's 90%, but I'll make sure you have the clear numbers.
And are there slots for Hartford residents? Is it first come, first serve? How does it work?
Yes, we do have slots, and it's right now we have some open slots, so we welcome folks to come into our office if they're looking for childcare, and they're looking to access childcare, to reach out to our staff. We have a service navigator, Zoila, who's in the audience, who can help them with the process.
Okay, and once upon a time there was a third center over in the Blue Hills neighborhood on Coventry Street.
We had a third at the Asylum Hill Congregational
So that's
Church.
probably within 4th, because there was one on Blue Hills on Coventry Street. And I forgot about the one in Asylum Hill in the church. Are there any plans to, because we have a lot of city-owned buildings that are unoccupied, any plans to expand our ELC for it to reach across another section of the city?
So we are looking at effective ways on how to make access available to any resident that wants it. So I think at this point, all sort of considerations we're taking a look at to see how we can ensure that through our universal childcare efforts that we will be embarking on, that access is available across the entire city for any resident. So, I will say that right now that's in the very preliminary stages, but those are conversations that we've had looking at other city buildings and how we can possibly expand out for access that way.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Councilman Mitchum.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, Director Baldwin and team. Just one question. You explained the budget decline that has to do with the early start pass-through money. But we still have the job of overseeing those centers. Is the cost of the oversight, in other words, salary probably, was that subsidized by money that has been lost, or are we even? Is all the money lost just pass-through money? Do you follow my question?
Yes, I do follow your question. We still do receive funding support for staffing that is charged with overseeing the implementation of Early Start.
So we're really, practically speaking, we're not taking any hit with this change in the way the payment works.
Yes, that's correct. Mhm.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman. I'll go to the screen. Councilwoman Rosado.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Director Baldwin, I just want to commend you and your entire team on an outstanding presentation. I had questions. I no longer have questions, but know that it's probably one of the best presentations that I've seen this year presented to the City Council. And I just want to say thank you for your amazing work and for caring so much for our youth. And I can't wait to see what you're going to do for the next fiscal year. And thank you for working with Ascend. I know that they're running out of funds, correct? When are their funds depleted?
Yes, so those funds end at the end of this calendar year, so December 31st, 2026.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you so much. I just want to give a heartfelt thank you for your very kind words, Councilwoman Rosado. You know, all of the accolades really go to the staff that are here in this room tonight, and those that couldn't be here as well. They are the ones that work around the clock, literally, to make sure that they are meeting the needs of our families. So my thanks to all of the staff, and thank you again for your very kind and supportive words.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Councilman Thomas.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just want to echo the compliments and what was said by Councilwoman Rosado. Very much in agreement with the presentation. I thought it was very strong, and your department seems strong, very strong, and I love the amount of partnerships that's going on. That makes me, really happy to see that there's partnerships on this, over here, and it seems like, all of Hartford in some kind of way is covered by your department. So I definitely appreciate that, the work that you and, your staff are doing, and that's all I had to say. Thank you, Madam Chair. Great job, Director Paul.
Thank you so much, Councilman Thomas. We really appreciate all of your support. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman. Lastly, Director, I have a question, but first, I really want to say 70% Hartford residents, that's not just by happenstance, so I really commend you on that. And great job.
Thank you so much.
I was looking right at the beginning, and I'm sure you know the answer to this, but I'm just concerned when it says 40 positions funded by grants. Are those just consistent grants? That's not something you or we have to worry about, is it?
No, those are grants that have remained pretty set in our budget for quite some time. We do have some positions that are attached to grants which will be sunsetting, but we have been working with our Office of Management, Budget, and Grants to look at how to continue to support the work after the funding ends.
Because, you see that, even though that's great, it makes you go, it also makes you nervous, so. But again, if there are no other questions, I thank you so much, and I thank your team for, here, and really, your presentation was really so spectacular. Thank you again, and our next is the police department.
Thank you
very
so much. We appreciate you all. Thank you.
Okay. Our next presentation and our final presentation is the Hartford Police Department, and we have with us our Police Chief, James Ravella. You are up, Chief.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you. I'd like to introduce my staff a little bit. Captain Chizinski, who's an experienced officer, Deputy Chief Lee, and we'll have Lieutenant Rendock here, and seated behind me is, Sergeant Mastriani for the C4. Any questions in that area? And my Chief of Staff, and Deputy Chief Watson is also back there. She runs the investigative units. So, Pam, you're invaluable. So before I begin, this budget's reflective of pretty much the same thing from last year, except there's an increase of $254,902, and that is reflective of officers coming off a grant onto the general fund. And that's the difference in this budget, mostly compared to the last. So if you don't mind, we'll run through the presentation for everyone, and we'll go there. Go ahead. Jeff.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you. All right, so the mission statement for the Hartford Police Department, our mission remains the same. We're going to work together with the community, maintaining public safety and improving quality of life for the residents. And our mission is also to enforce the laws and ordinances with impartiality, professionalism, and transparency. And our goal is always to foster a mutual trust between us and our community, and also to be at the forefront of policing using the best and most innovative technologies. Hopefully I did better with the org chart this year. I think it looks a little easier to read than last time, but you'll see on our org chart, we have the 2 vacancies currently for assistant chiefs of police. And then beneath that, we have 5 deputy chiefs. 1 spot is vacant right now. And 2 of the deputy chiefs oversee the administrative functions of the department, and the other 3 will oversee the operational functions of the department. All right, so talking a little bit about 2026, fiscal year 2026 in the police department. Our biggest ongoing challenge is still staffing. We're 129 officers short of budgeted, so we're operating at about 74%. And in order to keep up the quality of service to the city, you know, our sworn staff are working long hours to make up for that 26% of our staffing that's missing. They're missing birthdays, they're missing home things to come to work and work long hours. So we're really thankful for that. We do want to say we're starting to see improvements in staffing. Since 2020, there's only been 1 year with a net increase in staffing, and that was in the single digits. Every other year has been double digits net losses. So this past year, we are seeing a 15 officer net increase in staffing. So that is encouraging, and we're going to continue to recruit and hire and try to keep that up as best we can. The minority staffing is 45.63%, which is a little bit up from this time of last year, and currently nearly 15% female, which is about steady with previous years. Did I skip one? Nope. So far during fiscal year 2026, we've graduated 22 new police officers into the Hartford Police Department. 4 were from the New Britain Police Academy back in October, And then we've had 2 classes in the Hartford Police Academy, so 18 graduated from those 2 academies, coming into the ranks of our police officers. And at this point, all the ones from the December class, 2025-1, are off training and out there operating, adding to our staffing and filling shifts and full police officers. And then the class that graduated in March they're probably about halfway through their field training. So we'll have them out there for summertime. We do have an academy beginning in May, and at this point it's looking like it might be 12 recruits, so we're hoping to keep it at that and no lower. And we also have 4 recruits in the Waterbury Police Academy right now. They'll be graduating in the summer. So calendar, as far as crime in the city, violent Part 1 crimes, calendar year 2025 ended up, as you can see, with a 22.9% decrease compared to 2024. That's a pretty significant number, especially considering last year I reported about a similar number decrease in crime from 2023. You know, we had 11 homicides in calendar year 2025, and in calendar year 2024, we had 22. So that's 50% down. And of the homicides, the 11 homicides from last year, we have a 100% closure rate. And that's very high. I mean, it's a perfect closure rate and well above the national average. In addition, we have, for all our fatal accidents last year, we have closed all those cases by arrest as well. So we're doing good things. The crime is decreasing. Our officers are working hard. As you can see, all these numbers, great decreases. So year over year, we do continue to see decreases in violent crime. Going forward, our strategic initiatives, similar to before, we're going to always try to improve public safety in the city of Hartford. We're going to continue our ongoing crime lowering strategies, as you can see with our high closure rates and success in those cases. We're going to maintain and expand strategic partnerships. Our CSOs and district commanders are going to continue to make new connections with new business owners, new citizens, new groups to the city of Hartford, as they are already doing a great job with. We're going to focus on diversity and inclusion initiatives, and one way we're doing this is that the chief meets regularly with our fraternal organizations and listens to them and what their needs and what they see as things we can do within the department to make our diversity and inclusion initiatives better. And lastly, we're continually trying to increase officer wellness. Right now, Chief Ovella has opened so many opportunities for our officers to go to trainings for things that they are interested in and would like to pursue within their career. And also, he's allowing for patrol officers to do rotations through special units, detective bureaus, and proactive units, just so that they can get a taste of the things that they can do with their career here in Hartford. It also gives them a little bit of break from patrol, and they come back to patrol refreshed with new skills and maybe a renewed love for policing. This is what the chief spoke about in the beginning, about the budgetary increases being primarily due to those 12 officer positions that are being funded through the COPS hiring grant, which does sunset in the May of this fiscal year. And again, in our budget, our goal is always to get at least 2 classes of 25 recruits during the fiscal year. Still falling slightly short of that, but we are going to keep that the same because it is our goal to do that this year, and I think maybe we can do it this year. Our recruiting efforts have definitely helped increase applications recently. And then lastly here we have our staff compositions of the Hartford Police Department staffing. And that is what I have for you tonight. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I will now go to, where did my, okay, I see. Councilwoman Rosado. She's so small.
Oh, I wonder if I can do anything with it.
Oh,
I don't want to touch it though.
hold on. First of all, you're on mute, Councilwoman. Hold on a minute. Yeah, hold on. There we go. Unmute yourself. There you go.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I was just asking, could I please go last?
Okay.
My Wi-Fi is unstable right now.
Okay.
I apologize.
All right. Well, I'm going to start then from my left. Councilman Mitchum.
Thank you, Madam Chair. First, just a numbers question. In the last slide on the ethnic breakdown, it says Caucasian white 60%, but on slide 4, it says minority staffing is 45.63%. I'm not a mathematician, but that makes more than 100%.
So I probably should have explained that, but I'm sorry. When we do our minority staffing internally, we do include females, just based on HR standards that we were given. But in this last one, we took them out because I know that the council usually prefers to see them.
So the actual minority staffing is 40%?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, yes, sir.
And then another question about these numbers on the left side. Is this sworn officers or is this the whole department?
This is sworn officers.
Got you. Thank you. You said that I don't remember, I think you said 74% of optimal staffing, which I think adds up to 491 sworn officers. But you also said crime is down significantly this year over last year, and it was down significantly last year over the year before. What's the base? 409. What's the basis for that number? That would make us. We would have like the 8th largest police force in the country, per capita, if we had 491 officers. Where does that number come from?
First of all, one of the numbers came from a staffing study from 10 years ago from an attorney that did a staffing study for us. It also is generated by one of the COPS grants that we have, that the staffing should be up to 481, 491, right in that neighborhood, plus what they authorize. So those are the two numbers that are available. I think one of the questions you're asking, and if we have reductions in crime, why do we need so many officers? There's a plethora of duties these officers do perform. Just maintenance and stabilization in neighborhoods, maintenance of your taxing districts, responding to car accidents or breach of pieces, and just a tremendous amount of activity. And the less cops you go, the more overtime it costs us. So.
Well, let me ask you a related question. Is the department still doing the park and walks where after responding to a call, whoever the officers who responded just kind of do a loop of the neighborhood, not related to the call, just to kind of say hi to folks? Is that still practice?
Well, it's not called Parks and Walks. We actually threw 6 more officers into the community service model for those commanders to use them with explicitly telling them that, hey, they're going to have to take calls for service. They're going to have to take case numbers. They are going to have to walk a couple times a day the business districts and be very, very visible. So yes, it's still available.
Because I mean, I had this discussion with your predecessor. Those practices don't reduce crime, and they do reduce overtime significantly. So why keep doing them?
Well, they're very good for the community. The community likes to see the police officers. They like to talk with them. They like to have coffee with them. And it does stabilize some of those business districts where they do have a stake in the city.
What does it mean to stabilize a district if it doesn't reduce crime?
I'm sorry, what was that?
You said it stabilizes the districts. I mean, there's some research on this. It doesn't reduce crime. So what does it mean to stabilize a district if it's not reducing crime? What does that mean?
They certainly stabilize the district. I'm an old beat man myself, and when you walk Park Street, you stabilize that district for those business owners.
My question is, what does it mean to stabilize a district, if not reduce crime?
You don't have people hanging on the sidewalk. You don't have illegal activity on that sidewalk. You have patrons that don't fear to go into businesses. The parking is within our rules. It makes for a much better way of life, the quality of life for not only those business folks, but for the people that live upstairs in most of those buildings.
Do you have data on that? Because the data says that the park and walks don't reduce crime. So that's what I'm driving at. Like, we're doing a thing that increases overtime without reducing crime, and you're talking about stabilize and quality of life. Talk to me about crime.
Crime, you saw a 22.9 reduction in violent crime and Part A crimes, the rape, the robberies, the assaults, the aggravated assaults, murders, things like that. But there's other crimes such as breaches, pieces, trespassing, public drinking, loitering, all those areas. That reduces those crimes and makes those areas a viable business district.
All right. I mean, I guess what I'm saying is I discussed this with your predecessor. I've done a lot of research on this. The park and walks, they don't reduce crime. Like, there's no measurement that says that they reduce crime. All they do is they increase overtime, which increases costs and increases staffing. So I'm suggesting maybe that a more data-driven approach might save us some money on that front. But I've asked a bunch of questions, so I'll pass along to my colleagues.
Thank you, Councilman. I will now go on to Council President.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, Chief. Good to see you again, and the rest of your team that just came with you. Thank you for your presentation. Since the sunsetting of Centron v. Vaughn, and you mentioned here regarding your DEI initiatives, how is the department now adhering to, because it was your predecessor that mentioned that there was going to be continuation of working to, I would just use the word, adhere to the decree without it actually being a decree anymore because the department was moving towards that way. So how were those initiatives going?
So let's talk specifically about personnel. And Deputy Chief, would you go through some of the areas?
Good evening. As far as your question, as far as the recruitment initiatives, I think part of it that's important to look at is we have revamped our methods and our staffing and recruitment. Part of that was Sergeant Steve Austin, refocusing him on city-based initiatives, in person, in the community, moving around, attending events, and really trying to interact directly with the community. Where our other component is more of a social media online presence to try and draw in applicants using those techniques. Through that process, we've seen some nice gains. Prior to kind of instituting some of these changes, a hiring process that went from May till July of 2025 produced 132 applicants. Some of these social media and increased presence and focus back into community. Our next hiring process developed 238 applicants. So we've seen some success in numbers. In addition to that, with the classes, the current classes, we have seen a high level of diversity and minority participation. Our 2025 class that graduated March 6th of 2026, 84% minority class. The previous class, which graduated in December of 25, 92% minority. So we're working, you know, it's a target that we're always working towards to increase minority representation in the department. The recruiting efforts continue to try and draw in city residents. Our HPD Next program is a preparedness program that really has seen benefits for city residents. I can't talk specifics about our current hiring process as we're finalizing that right now, but what I've seen is a significant enhancement in city residents in this last group that we're working on right now that did participate in our preparedness program. And it's another diverse group that we hope to enter the academy in May. Some things still have to finalize there, but we're working towards that. I think we can also look to our Cadet Explorer programs, trying to engage city youth and bring them through the PAL program and other ways into the police department and experience what we're about. Those processes, the idea is to help us develop candidates from within the city and candidates that reflect the city's population. If you have anything else, Chief, in that regard.
Perhaps you want to throw anything in?
Yes, speaking specifically, you asked about Cintron Vaughn and some of the initiatives that Chief Doherty, I'm thinking you're referring to the initiatives that he said would continue to happen in our department despite Cintron Vaughn sunsetting.
Yeah, that's correct.
Right, so a lot of those things, and there were very few that we weren't continuing only because they were not currently best practices or ways of doing policing, but all of the things from Cintron were essentially, they became part of our department practices and procedures anyway. So a lot of those things, I mean, I have a list of all of them and which ones we've kept and which ones we've kept and modified. So I can certainly discuss some of those, but it's a lot because there were a lot of sections of Cintron Vaughn. But
you can just give a couple details, and before you get into that, my suggestion would be that the department find a way to post that and make it public so that individuals in the community can see the progress that the police department has made since the sunsetting of this consent decree.
yes, sir, that's a great idea.
Could you just give one example?
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Let me find one out here. I have a spreadsheet here. Let's see. Okay, one example was HPD adopts General Order 73.1, strictly restricting the use of chemical mace, not including not using chemical mace on children who appear to be under the age of 12, except in circumstances of danger or life and limb. And same for the use of tear gas. And those are both just regular practices that are in policy now. They've been in policy for a long time because of Cintron Vaughn, and there's no reason to change that. So those will continue to be in policy. Let's see. Like one was, you're not allowed to fire warning shots. Well, that's a state standard for use of force now. So of course we're going to keep that. Let's see.
Qualify 4 times or shoot 4 times.
Oh yeah, that's a good one. Cintron Vaughn required the department to have officers qualify 4 times a year, which exceeds the standards of the Post Council, which sets the standards for police departments. They require it twice a year. However, we continue to keep the 4 qualifications per year, except that 2 of them we use to do practical training with the officers. So we've kind of modified that in that we don't have like an official qualification 4 times a year. We do it 2 times a year as required by post, but a better use of our equipment and our time and our range is to do training with practical skills instead of just standing on the line and shooting at a target for a qualification score. Now we're doing practical training, we're doing active training, getting in and out of cars, how to, shooting skills to get more accurate shots. So we continue to do the 4 times at the range per year, even though it's not required by post.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Councilwoman Rosado. Majority Leader Bilodeau.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, Chief, and thank you to all of your team who's here today, and I commend you all on the numbers that you reported to us. So a couple questions. I know in this budget presentation you mentioned a couple challenges, staffing levels and overtime costs attributed to those staffing levels. Are there any other needs that were mentioned, such as equipment? And in addition to that, is there any expansion on technology for time management?
Let me go back to some attrition and staffing to start with. It's somewhat bleak. I expect almost 80 officers to become eligible by 2029. And we're starting to see the dribble of officers coming out today. Early. We're actually seeing them leave early. So that's a challenge for us. For instance, we had 4 leave, 2 retired, and 2 went to other employments. And I'm sorry, a 5th actually we sent back to school. So that's part of it. We believe the mayor's recommended budget accounts for everything we need. Even though there was no approval of any of the business cases, but we can live with that. We play the cards we're dealt and we do it well. So did you have something else in there? The data-driven?
Yes, if you're implementing or expanding on any technology to help with the time management.
Yeah, the time management, we really drilled down on the sergeants to begin with. The sergeants are controlling their usual people rather than brand-new people all the time. It's somewhat of an old-fashioned way to do it, but if the sergeant has 3 people or 4 people working for him that he knows every single day, he's going to manage their time very well. If you talk about data, we have a ton of data coming out of Sergeant Mastriani's shop. We also have data coming out of crime analysis, which talks about historical crimes, which is even time when we talk about response times or time on calls or different types of calls. So we watch that all the time.
Thank you.
Councilwoman Rosado.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Hello, Chief. Thank you for your presentation. And thank you for listening to the residents of the city of Hartford. I know as a councilwoman, I got a lot of phone calls from business individuals from Park Street who are very happy with the officers walking, up and down the businesses in the south end of Hartford. The walk beats now I hope to see a lot of cops on their bikes. It does generate trust in the police department where the cops build that trust with the community and are more outspoken. Sometimes they don't want to dial an anonymous tip line, but they will speak to that officer in the community. Also, a little information that I want to give here as to what Councilman Mixon was saying. The National Institute of Justice shows that when there is walk beat and more patrol on the streets, crime reduction is between 10 and 30%. And in Philadelphia, The Philadelphia Food Patrol experiment, led by criminologist Rexwell, states that it is the biggest trial in modern police research, and it's a study made of why is it so important of foot patrol and bicycle patrol in a city. So thank you for your presentation. Thank you to the officers of the Hartford Police Department for the work, for the great work that they do. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman.
Just a follow-up about the, forgive me, I don't know your name, who you were talking about, the classes coming up, and you said one was 84% minority and one was 92% minority. Is that actual minority, or is that minorities plus women?
The 92% I can speak to for sure. There were no females in that group. The second one, I believe one I believe one recruit was female, so I'm not 100% on that number.
So
but
it's
the
somewhat
92% one is, that was 12 recruits, and there were no females.
Got you. And then you also said you're seeing an enhancement in the recruitment of city residents, I think you said, but I see that it's 95% non-city residents. I mean, I can remember in the time that I've been on council, when I came on, that number was lower. There were more city residents in the force. I think 5 years ago, it was like 80-something% non-resident. So that's a decrease, not an increase.
So what I was referring to, and I'm sorry if there was confusion, was about the readiness program and the participation in that program. So we saw a lot of applicants, many of them were city residents that were participating in the program. Sorry to clarify.
No, so, okay.
So the result we're hoping is increases in.
So that's like a pathway.
Yes. And
Understood.
I think I think we will see success with that.
Thank you. And following up on Councilwoman Bilodeau's question about equipment, one of the things that came up recently with the fatal shootings was that there are fewer tasers in the department than officers. Does the current budget solve that problem?
Not at this time, no. I've been in conversations with the mayor over an increase. Even 100 more will cost well over $800,000 to equip the entire police department. It'll cost over $2 million. Presently, there's probably 107 or so tasers in the patrol area, 107, and there's at least 27 less than lethal shotguns with beanbags in them, and we're exploring another less than lethal option also.
Did you make a business case to at least make sure every officer has a taser?
Not a business case, no.
And you think having, what, a third of the officers, or I guess probably more, not a third, more like half, right, who are on duty at any given moment? Well, let me ask, how many officers who are on duty at any given moment have a taser? On patrol, I should say.
I couldn't give you a number. I would like everybody in patrol to have a taser, but they are expensive, and those discussions are still being had with the mayor.
So what is it? I'm sorry to be a pain, but like you didn't make a business case for it, and it's not in the budget, and so what are the discussions? I mean, it's not happening.
Not necessarily. I haven't heard about the vet yet, and if we take something off of the vet, we can use something for tasers too.
I don't know what that
the vet
is.
Vehicles
What the vet?
And technology, equipment and
Oh,
technology.
okay. Sorry. Forgive me.
So there's possibilities, but they are expensive.
Totally unrelated question that came up in another hearing. The shooting range, which is being renovated or repaired, other cities, other towns, departments use that as well? Or will when it's fixed?
we're very restrictive on who can use that. We're more restrictive. We eliminate people if they do not have a certificate of insurance protecting the city from liability. We do not charge for it, and I don't think there are very many PDs that use it at all. Chief, are you aware of anybody that used it?
We have, other PDs have used it, but primarily the outside PDs using it are people that are attending our academies. So as we have recruits in Waterbury right now, we've had recruits recently graduate from New Britain. So there is some sharing of trainers and instruction areas and things like use of the range. We do pull those resources where we can to try and effectively train.
But charging other municipalities forces to use the range, that's not like a meaningful source of revenue, from what you're telling me.
No, it's not.
And last question, how much is the department spending on recruiting in this budget? And forgive me, I tried to sort of pick it out, but I don't think it's here. It might be in the book.
Yeah, let's talk personnel first. There's a sergeant, lieutenant, and a detective who's part-time down there, and it's cost us salaries for those folks. There's been some technology improvements that I paid for from an asset forfeiture account for recruiting. So just the salaries for the officers, which are included in the budget.
Okay. And I'm sorry, actually, I have one more question, which is totally unrelated to that I forgot about. But special event staffing, right? Like those extra officers for like the festivals or block parties or whatever. How are those numbers determined? How many officers are required?
Those numbers are determined by the commander of the traffic division. They're experts at it. They run both the soccer and the baseball field and all the special events, especially the parades. The parades are lengthy and require more staffing, whereas if you're in a fixed location, quite a bit less. But I should tell you that when we've had a couple at Bushnell Park, we've been overrun at times by some rogue teenagers who've decided to fight down there and ruin an event. So it's costing us some money.
Is there a formula? Like, I know you say a sergeant, I think you said a sergeant does it, but like, does he do it according to some sort of something that we could see and understand?
I'm not sure. I think there's a Department of Transportation recommendation, but I think it's old about the number of officers we need. But it's substantially higher than how we staff it.
The recommendation actually calls for more than what you're staffing?
Yes.
Okay. But is that, when you say there's a recommendation, like, is that a formula? Like, what does that mean, a recommendation? Is it like X number of officers per X blocks of parade? Like, what is that? What is it?
There's no formula for it. It's the number of blocks, the number of roads that have to be closed, the type of event, the threat assessment that goes with it. And if it's a moving event, all the intersections have to be blocked because we can't have a car coming through there. So there's a lot of knowledge that goes into that.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Councilman. Final questions from the chair to the chief or to whoever can answer this. First of all, thank you for your presentation. On page 4 of your presentation, I appreciate the, 45.63 up from 42.06. You say 14.48 sworn officers are female. Is that an increase, a continued increase over the years? And if you don't know that right away, can you get that to me?
Yeah, female. been an increase?
The female staffing has tended over the last maybe 5 or so years to be right around 15. It kind of just varies based on new staffing, staff who leave, but it tends to stay right around 15%.
But we being you are working on increasing that, correct?
We're certainly trying with our recruiting.
And I know you've used Sergeant Austin as a Hartford kind of poster person. How do you do an incentive for female officers? Maybe incentive's the wrong word, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, maybe not incentive. How do we attract potential female officers, right? You know, they're done on these phones these days. Going to tables or different events are few and far between nowadays. They're done all over the phone. And then you get into personal contact with folks and encourage them to apply. And then there's the factor that we help them with the areas that they lose. The Cooper Standard Physical Fitness Test. We run these folks, we make them do push-ups, and we try to get them to succeed. Or we go to certain other Cooper tests and we pass out literature. Females are well sought around the state as police officers. So they're a difficult crowd to attract just to Hartford, but everybody else is looking for them too.
And then on page 6, and I understand why you've done this way, but I think it would be beneficial, well, to me, when you put decrease, particularly with auto theft, shooting victims, could we have the number instead of just the, because 1% decrease, I don't know if that was 700 shooting victims and then it's 1%. So
Yeah.
is there a way, can you just,
I could send you the end of year comp stat report
Okay.
from last year, which is where that data is pulled from.
because, and I'm, again, speaking for myself, but I'm sure my colleagues, when, people talk to us and we're, able to say auto theft is down, 31% doesn't mean the same as saying, definitive numbers.
Yes, ma'am. I can get
All right.
that to you.
Okay.
Chris knows
done.
off the top of his head, so Sergeant Mastriani could probably answer
Oh,
that.
Sergeant.
Are you looking for one of the specific numbers, or?
Well, auto theft off the top of my
I
head.
thought you were talking about shooting victims. I don't know.
Or shooting victim.
Yeah.
We can fire you over the
Yeah,
end
that's
of the
easy to
year.
get to you.
Because the end of the year, we did it a little differently. We drilled down to neighborhoods this time around.
Because I think it's great to say there's a decrease, but I really think it's important to be able to say what kind of numbers we're looking at.
Just for a quick example, we had 89 total shooting victims last year.
I can't hear you, Sergeant, I'm sorry.
Just a quick example, we had 89 total shooting victims last year. In 2021, we had 204. So massive decrease. And we saw a lot of up and downs nationally with gunshot victims. Everything rose during the pandemic and then kind of came back down to normal. But here in Hartford, we actually came back down to pre-pandemic numbers. Our homicide number last year was the lowest in over 20 years. Total shooting victim was the lowest in over 25 years. So pretty significant reductions. But pure numbers, we had 89 last year, we had 91 the year before, and then we had 140 the year before that, and then we got into the 200s when you go to 21, 22, 2020. Those are up over 200, so pretty significant.
And those are the kind of numbers that, really do say something. And I'll let my colleague have a final question, but I also want to reiterate something that my colleague has said around Hartford residents. I hope what is happening will result in, because as we know, again, speaking for myself, officers that are from the community, that look like the community, that are a part of us, I think are only beneficial for when we're policing. I know you know that, but we also have to work extra hard to get that result. So, thank you, Councilman.
Just last question. Our 2020 CPRB reform ordinance directed the department to post all of its general orders or online. We have, I think, 80 of 200 of those posted. I understand there's a handful that are sort of purposely, that are allowed to be held back for some security reasons. I'm assuming it's not the case that 120 of 200 are so sensitive that they can't be posted online. So my question is, what's up with that?
They're actually there, Councilman. If you look at this, the police site, all our orders are there, and they come and go, meaning once we replace them with a new order, we pull the old one off. The directives are there also, and at the request of the public, our code of conduct is on there also. And then you're going to see our year-end statistics on there. You're going to see our lowest report of complaints against officers on there next week. And you're also going to see that we're Tier 3 certified for the state of Connecticut on there, but it's all there.
All 200 orders are there? Or minus the handful
No,
that are?
minus a bunch, but go ahead, Kat.
Yeah, so over the years, especially pursuing accreditation, a lot of our older policies have been consolidated into more concise policies altogether. So whereas maybe we used to have 4 policies about, let's just say firearms, but they were each a couple pages, well, they've all been consolidated into one to make them more concise, less repetitiveness. There no possibility of them conflicting with each other. So over the last several years, I guess we've been working on accreditation seriously for maybe 5 or 6 years now. So over that time, a lot of our policies got consolidated into newer versions of the policies, which are now posted on the website.
Thank you.
Thank you. If there are no other questions, I thank you for your presentation. I would like to say that our final public budget hearing is Tuesday, April 28th, 6 p.m., Weaver High School. And if there are no other questions, thank you, Chief, and to your department. This meeting is adjourned. See ya.